Something's been developing quietly around one of our most important players, and the signs have been there for anyone paying close enough attention. I'm talking about movements that go beyond statistics and game film, patterns that tell a different story about where this franchise might be heading over the next few years. The implications could reshape how we think about our receiving cores and the long-term structure of this roster. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your go-to source for breaking updates, insider perspectives, and the real conversations happening around our beloved Detroit Lions. Today I'm diving into a situation that connects our present success with future uncertainties in ways that demand serious analysis. Let me set the stage by walking you through what's been unfolding recently. Our offense has been absolutely electric this season, ranking among the league's most explosive units through the first half of the campaign. We're tied for first place in the NFC North with a legitimate shot at not just making the playoffs, but making serious noise once we get there. The chemistry between our skill position players and the quarterback has reached levels we haven't seen in Detroit for decades. Everything seems perfectly aligned for a championship run, and yet there are underlying factors that smart organizations always monitor regardless of current success. One of our star receivers has been putting up numbers that place him firmly among the elite at his position. Through the first 9 games this season, we're looking at 64 receptions on 82 targets for 63 yards and 8 touchdowns. Those numbers rank 5th in receiving yards across the entire league and 4th in total receptions. This level of consistency and production has become expected from him, which speaks volumes about how reliable and essential he's become to everything we do offensively. When you can count on a player to deliver week after week, game after game, that value becomes nearly irreplaceable. But here's where things get interesting, and I need you to follow this thread with me because it matters more than it might seem initially. This player has been significantly expanding his presence off the field in ways that go beyond typical athlete endorsements. The partnership deals, the brand building, the social media strategy, all of it points to someone who's thinking carefully about his long-term marketability and business portfolio beyond just football. In July, he launched a major collaboration with a household name brand, landing a featured spot on limited edition packaging that hit stores nationwide by August. His signature celebration became iconic imagery on breakfast tables across America. Recently, he announced another initiative through his family foundation, engaging with fans through exclusive giveaways and increasing his direct connection with supporters. These aren't just random promotional activities. They represent a calculated approach to building a personal brand that transcends team loyalty. Now, before anyone panics, let me be absolutely clear that there's nothing wrong with athletes maximizing their earning potential and creating business opportunities. In fact, I encourage it and celebrate when our guys succeed in these ventures. But it does raise legitimate questions about future intentions when you combine this aggressive brand expansion with certain contract realities. The financial commitment from Detroit was substantial and demonstrated how much the organization values this player's contributions. In April 2024, he signed a 4-year extension worth $120 million, locking him into the organization through the 2028 season. That's elite receiver money, and rightfully so based on his production and importance to our offensive scheme. On the surface, this seems like the perfect scenario where team and player are aligned for the long haul. Both sides got what they wanted, everyone's happy, and we can focus on winning championships together, except the NFL has taught us repeatedly that contracts don't always guarantee longevity. We've seen countless examples of players with years remaining on their deals, requesting trades or forcing their way out when circumstances change. Market dynamics shift, team directions evolve, personal priorities transform, and suddenly what seemed like a permanent marriage becomes a business transaction. I'm not suggesting this is imminent or even likely, but ignoring the possibility would be naive, given how much the league has changed in recent years regarding player movement. Consider the broader context of how elite receivers have been handling their careers lately. The position has seen unprecedented leverage in contract negotiations and trade demands. Star receivers have demonstrated they're willing to sit out, request moves to contending teams, or push for relocations to bigger markets that enhance their off-field earning potential. The calculus has changed from previous generations where loyalty and staying with one franchise carried more weight. Today's players, rightfully or not, prioritize maximizing every aspect of their career value. Now let's talk specifically about Amon-Ra St. Brown, because that's who I've been building toward this entire time. Everything I've described applies directly to him, and his situation deserves careful examination. St. Brown has been nothing short of sensational for Detroit since being selected in the 4th round of the 2021 draft. He's proven to be one of the best value picks in recent memory, transforming from a late-round selection into a 3-time Pro Bowl receiver and 2-time All-Pro. His chip-on-his-shoulder mentality, relentless preparation, and precise route running have made him indispensable to our offensive success. The question we need to ask ourselves isn't about his current commitment or his importance to this team right now. Those things are unquestionable. He's locked in, he's producing, and he's been a major reason we're contending for the NFC North title and potentially a deep playoff run. The question is about the future beyond this season and the next couple of years. As St. Brown continues building his national profile, expanding his business ventures, and establishing himself as one of the league's premier receivers, does Detroit remain the optimal situation for maximizing his entire career arc? Detroit has transformed dramatically as a franchise, becoming a legitimate destination rather than a place star players try to escape. The culture that Dan Campbell has built, the talent Brad Holmes has assembled, and the organizational stability all contribute to an environment where players want to be. St. Brown has been vocal about loving it here and being part of something special. But the NFL is a business first and foremost, and circumstances can change rapidly based on factors beyond any individual's control. Let's examine potential scenarios where St. Brown's future in Detroit could become uncertain. Suppose we don't achieve the championship success we're all expecting over the next 2 seasons. Suppose injuries or roster changes diminish our competitiveness. Suppose St. Brown feels he could win more elsewhere or position himself better for post-career opportunities in a bigger media market. Suppose a team like the Cowboys, Giants, or Chargers comes calling with interest in acquiring an elite receiver. These aren't predictions, they're possibilities that any realistic analysis must consider. The financial structure of his contract provides some flexibility for Detroit if circumstances warranted a move. While the deal keeps him here through 2028, the guaranteed money and salary cap hits are structured in ways that could allow the organization to trade him after the 2026 season without catastrophic cap consequences. Again, I'm not advocating for this or suggesting it's likely, but the mechanism exists if both sides decided it made sense. The NFL has shown us repeatedly that seemingly impossible transactions become reality when multiple factors align. From St. Brown's perspective, staying in Detroit makes enormous sense for multiple reasons. He's the undisputed #1 receiver. He has fantastic chemistry with the quarterback. He's playing in an offensive system that maximizes his strengths, and he's part of a legitimate championship contender. The stability and production he's experiencing here would be difficult to replicate elsewhere. Moving to a new team means learning new schemes, building new relationships, and facing uncertainty about role and target share. Why risk disrupting what's working so well? The counter-argument involves legacy and maximizing earning potential, if St. Brown believes he could be equally successful in a larger market with bigger endorsement opportunities. The additional off-field income could dwarf any football salary considerations. Major markets provide platforms that smaller markets simply cannot match for building personal brands and business empires. We've seen this calculation influence decisions from stars across all sports. Money talks, and the differential between what you can earn in Detroit versus New York or Los Angeles is substantial. Here's my honest assessment after breaking down all these factors. I believe St. Brown will be a Lion through at least the 2027 season and probably through the end of his current contract. The organizational trajectory is too positive, his role is too perfect, and the championship window is too real to walk away from voluntarily. The brand building he's doing doesn't necessarily signal departure plans, it signals a smart athlete maximizing his career value regardless of where he plays. Athletes should absolutely be developing these revenue streams while they can. However, I also believe that after 2026, if circumstances change significantly, the conversation could shift. That's not pessimism. That's realism about how the modern NFL operates. The relationship between St. Brown and Detroit feels strong right now, but relationships evolve based on results and opportunities. The organization needs to continue building a championship-caliber roster around him, and he needs to continue producing at an elite level. As long as both sides hold up their end, this partnership should thrive for years. The optimistic view, which I genuinely hold, is that St. Brown will be catching touchdown passes in Honolulu blue and silver for the entirety of his prime years. We'll look back at this speculation in 5 years and laugh about how obvious it was that he'd finish his career here. He'll retire as one of the greatest receivers in franchise history, his jersey will hang in the rafters, and we'll tell stories about the dynasty he helped build. That's the future I'm betting on, and it's the future his current trajectory suggests. But smart fans understand that nothing in professional sports is guaranteed. We've learned that lesson too many times to be blindly optimistic without acknowledging realities. The best approach is celebrating what we have right now, supporting our guys while they're here, and trusting that the organization will make intelligent decisions about roster construction and contract management. St. Brown is ours through 2028 on paper, and barring something dramatic and unforeseen, I expect him to honor that commitment while continuing to dominate defenses. The excitement I feel about this team's immediate future is genuine and based on what we're seeing on the field every Sunday. St. Brown is a massive part of that excitement, and his presence elevates everyone around him. The precise routes, the reliable hands, the toughness after the catch, all of it contributes to an offense that's as dangerous as any in the league. Combined with our other weapons and the creativity of our coaching staff, we have everything needed to make a serious championship run this season. Before we wrap up, I want to hear your perspective on this entire situation. Do you think St. Brown will finish his career in Detroit, or do you see scenarios where he could end up elsewhere? How important is it for the organization to continue building around him to ensure he wants to stay long-term? Drop your thoughts in the comments below because this conversation matters and I value your insights. If this analysis gave you a different perspective on St. Brown's situation and the factors that could influence his future here, make sure you're subscribed to Lions News Fan Report. Hit that notification bell because I'm bringing you daily updates on roster moves, contract situations, and strategic decisions that impact our championship aspirations. This is where we go beyond surface-level coverage and dive into the real dynamics shaping this franchise. Smash that like button, share this with fellow Lions fans, and let's keep building the best informed fan base in the NFL. One pride, always.